the fan page. You guys drew me in 2 or 3 years ago, and it's been a godsend to me. I think what you guys do and what you guys provide, to me, goes without saying. I think you're the best that we have. And in terms of fan engagement, it's just being organic and natural and real. I just want to thank you. And this is my giving you your flowers now. And I want to just thank each and every one of you. I have Stephanie Rockwood, Brian Burkholder, Chris Boardman Abbott. If each of you can just introduce yourself, and after that, I'd like to get into how the hell did this happen? And I guess we'll start with Stephanie.
All right.
Please.
So I'm Stephanie. I've been a Hoya fan for as long as I can remember. I moved to Maryland 10 years ago to go to grad school at Georgetown, graduated in 2012 with my master's, and I am a moderator for the Facebook group we have. So that's
That's putting it mildly, but we'll get into that later.
I run the law in there. Let's put it that way.
Next up.
You want me to go? We'll let Boardman go last because he's the OG.
He's the board man. He's the board man. That says it all.
So my name is Brian Burkholder. I've been a Hoya fan since the early to mid '80s when I was just a youngin'. Followed them throughout the years, and kind of probably through the early '90s. Really started to resonate watching, Morning and Mutombo and that group into the Iverson area. Then I got to give a shout out to my boy Joe Gettle, because we reconnected and we connected in college. And next thing you know, you're a Hoya fan. I'm a Hoya fan. Sweet. So once we graduated college, we started getting season tickets together for the last 15, 16, 17 years, something like that. We've been loyal fans, trying to attend as many games as possible, and we've been through the good, the bad, the ugly. But we're real optimistic about what we have coming forward. Next year is going to be a big year for us. So, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Last but not least, the board man.
All right. Name's Chris Boardman. I go by the commission, the group. I've been a fan probably since like 1979, all through the 80s, 90s. You name it. I've watched just about everything. I don't think I've missed a televised game in probably 30 years. I mean, if I had work, I got off work and I was home. It was that simple. People call me crazy because it's like everything that I did revolved around what Georgetown did. Like, I might miss your funeral if Georgetown's playing. That's how into it I was. But I rep upstate New York here right now, Cortland, New York. They don't like the fact that I'm a Hoya fan, up this way because it's all Cuse. But it's just been a long time since I've been a fan. I visited a college back in, I think it was 9th grade, to try and go there, whatever. It didn't work out. I ended up being a postman and stuff like that. So, that was good. But, I really wanted to go to the college. I didn't really fulfill it all the way through. But Hoya just bleeds through me. I don't know why, but it just does.
So, having followed each and every one, all of you guys online, being a Hoya fan is unique in and of itself. You mentioned the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's almost like the worse it gets, the stronger we get. It's almost like we've always been slept on, and then once we were accepted, it became a different narrative. So again, as I mentioned in the beginning, this was a show I wanted to do because I do want to pay tribute to what I think you guys have done and accomplished in gathering the Hoya fans in one space. I've mentioned often the game thread is legendary. I had to stop participating because I couldn't watch the game. The thread was so illuminating. And I guess I just, I'm going to dig a little deeper. What was the defining moment for each of you when you just said to yourself, man, this is my crew, this is my franchise, this is my university. I'm going to root for them. Like, what was that moment? Was it a game? Was it a player? What was it for you that just made you committed to Georgetown basketball? And then to piggyback on that, the second part of that is, what do your spouses or your significant others think? Because I can tell you the looks I get. So please, we're gonna start with you, Byron.
I would say the defining moment, or what really defined me becoming a fan, was, I think, a lot of the haters out there. A lot of people, where I grew up, didn't like Georgetown. They weren't a fan favorite. And I always kind of took the motto, even like in college football, everybody where I live is a Penn State fan. I'm a Miami Hurricane fan because they used to battle in the 80s, and I know somehow I latched on to them. And then obviously when they won their national championship, that was hook, line, and sinker for me. What was the second part of that question? I'm sorry.
Spouse, how could you forget that?
Oh God.
This is where he gets in trouble.
You're already in trouble.
I don't know if you can tell by my facial expressions, but my wife is looking at me about 15 feet away, and she thinks I'm absolutely nuts. Because when I told her this morning that I was invited, I said, by the captain. She goes, who the hell's the captain? I said, geez. I'm like, come on. And so we've been kind of joking around about this all day. I got to give her credit. I'll give her a little shout out. She's very flexible with letting me get away to see the games on the weekends. She knows that we schedule our time around the Hoyas when they play. I try to keep her up to speed. I even got my sister-in-law loop now. I mean, I'm just recruiting fans.
We recruit. We recruit.
We do.
And it's great being able to take my son down to the games. It's something I can bond with him. My daughter had her first experience at the game last year. Stephanie's had the opportunity to meet the whole family. Boardman, we're going to get him down here one of these days. And
we are. We'll
do it the right way. But
we'll figure it. If I have to drive the van to go get him, we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, we'll split the driving time and gas money.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Stephanie.
So I guess for me, so I'm the youngest of the group. So
no kidding.
I grew up watching Iverson, but I mean, I was only 6 when he was being drafted. So, I mean, that's when it started. My uncle was a huge fan since he was in college, and I kind of just gravitated towards that. And then when Iverson was in the NBA, I kind of worked myself backwards, and then it was a wrap after that. The Iverson years, the team with Jeff Green and all them, that was my all-time favorite Hoya team. And then I've kind of just been hooked. And then when I got to go to grad school there, it kind of just exploded. And then I met Brian outside the arena one day before the game. And then we started going to our season tickets are relatively close together. So we tend to go to the bar before the games on Saturday mornings, catch up a little, talk basketball. And then we always go to the game together. We usually make a trip or 2 road games a year, which it kind of sucked we weren't able to do that this year, but I hope we can get into that again next year. And I don't have a significant other, but I'm originally from Western New York, about an hour south of Buffalo, down the street from St. Bonaventure University, and it's all Syracuse.
Awesome.
My dad's a Syracuse fan. My brother's a Syracuse fan. So yeah, it gets pretty rough around.
So that would be the significant other that you can comment on. That's brutal. That's got to be brutal.
It's rough. It's rough. We went to the Syracuse game at Syracuse 2 years ago, and my dad met us up there. I mean, for him, that was awesome for him. He's never been to the Carrier Dome, so that was cool. But I mean, obviously, we lost in the last 9 seconds of the game, and so it was pretty bad for us. But overall, good experience. It's a fun rivalry to have, so I wouldn't change it any other way.
Boardman.
All right. I'd have to say it's a little close to what Brian said with it being a Cuse area. And everywhere I look, it's just orange. It's orange this, it's orange that. And I always say to them, and I'm like, they're always like, why are you a Hoya fan? And I'm like, the same reason why you're a Cuse fan, only I'm a little bit different, because I don't want to go with the original. Like, why would I want to be an Orange fan when all there are Orange fans around? I said, I'm going to go with the direct opposite and be a Hoya fan. That way it's all just me, because it's all about, because when you come up in this area, like, you can literally go and ask somebody, say, who likes the Hoyas? They're going to say my name. It's just like that. I got Hoya plates on the back of my car. I drive all around. People will say all the time, I knew that was you. You had the Hoya plates. I knew that was you, Chris, and so forth. The other thing I would have to say is turning on the TV that one day and seeing all black players, and then the big black guy, John Thompson. And then just the way that you guys presented yourself on the court with the hustle defense, the scrapping, the diving, not giving a damn what you had to do to get the job done. It just clicked just like that. Because I've always believed inside my soul that when you go at something, you go at it full force, and you don't ever let up. And even when people like I talk about on Twitter a lot about, you got to believe in things. And a lot of people always put a little bit of that doubt in there. And I'm always like, if you believe strong enough, you don't understand how much that can make you overcome what something that you might not have been able to do. And it was just seeing the effort put out there by you guys, and seeing how Big John, took care of you guys, stood up for you guys. That's really how I used to do. I used to study every single thing that he did. How I take little excerpts from the papers and stuff like that he may have said, and I would instill that in my mind, and then I would push that towards the kids that I knew once I got older that were playing basketball or trying to learn the game. And I always talked about the education part first, even though I didn't go to college, I graduated from high school, but I knew how important that was. And I let them know the same thing I tell my sons now. But it was really everything that he was about is what made me love Georgetown. I mean, it was like he's a father figure, and I didn't even know him.
Awesome. Again, I'm gonna praise you guys all day. That's the purpose of this show. So for me, you guys are so vital and so important, because you're current. You're talking about stuff today, and you have an appreciation for the legacy and the history. I mentioned earlier what was difficult for me doing Hoya Locker Room was, I don't want to be stuck in 1980. I mean, this is 2020. But I do think knowing where you come from builds a sense of pride, a sense of connectivity. I think that legacy speaks for itself. And it's not like we don't have some pretty prominent individuals to talk about. So for me, you guys are so crucial, because you talk about what's going on now, which I want to shift into this 2021 season. And we'll start with yesterday's game against Connecticut, and because I know we all were on the same page. Again, scheduling this show was more about celebrating yesterday's victory than, celebrating you guys and yesterday's victory. But again, being a Hoya fan, we always get back up. Being a Hoya fan, we always gonna find, and this is not some hokey hodgepodge scenario. This is, this is what we're, this is how we're built. There are no, we're built tough. So for me, what stood out for me yesterday was Dante Harris hustle. We didn't quit. We were getting our ass whooped. The final score wasn't important. Sometimes it's how you lose. And, I took, obviously I take no solace in the L, but I just thought, and I'd like to hear from you guys, what you took away from yesterday, because obviously I saw the banter back and forth, and I love the banter. I love the smack talking, because this three right here, y'all can handle it. So give me your feelings. We're going into the Big East tournament. We were projected to finish last, and I was having none of that shit. Like, talking about finishing last to me is not a conversation I'm going to entertain. I don't know how you started the season that way. So I'd like to hear from each of you how you felt beginning of the season to mid-season to where we're at now. Just give me your insights, because I think what you represent again to me is bring me your best, and we're going to give you our best. We're going to leave it all on the floor, and then we're going to come back again and do the same thing. So just jump right in.
I'll go. Going into this season, this was probably the least optimistic I was about witnessing a team that was going to roll to the top of the Big East and be an NCAA tournament team. Definitely I'm usually the one who's the ultra optimist each year. Last year, I thought, man, when I watched them play in the Bahamas, with that crew that they had together, I really thought we'd be very, very tough out in the tournament. So, I've said I'm an emotional roller coaster throughout the season. Chris knows.
Are we all?
Chris knows. He has to keep me grounded half the time. But back in November, December, I said we're a 5-20 team at best. Based on what I saw. The lack of energy that was out there, just the overall vibe I was getting from, our seniors. And then, and I still felt that way through January. COVID hit. We went on that 3-week COVID quarantine. We came back, and what was that first game? Was that Butler? Where was
the Providence game?
Yeah, right. And we just, something, and I don't know if it was something in the water or, what was going, they had some sort of bonding session being quarantined together. I don't know what it was, but, they put it together. They battle hard. They usually win rebounding wars every game. Yesterday, obviously, we got crushed on the offensive boards. And we'll talk about that then. But I'm optimistic going into the Big East tournament. I think Nova doesn't scare me. Nobody scares me in that conference. I really think UConn's probably the best team I've seen us face this year. Give us a third time against them. I think the third time's a charm. Nova losing Gillespie, I think that's going to hurt them a little bit. Obviously they're deep. Throughout, Creighton's tough, but they're going through a coaching, they're going through their issues there. It's really up for grabs, in my opinion. So I feel good about it. I felt a lot better going into it before yesterday's loss, but I still think we're an 8-9 seed. We should be able to. Handle our business the first round and then get after it.
One game at a time.
One game at a time. So I'll pass it off to Stephanie.
I think I felt the same way Brian did. I I tend to be on the over optimistic side. I want the best out of this team. I love this team more than anything. And I think when COVID canceled the Big East tournament last year, I was like, oh, this is going to be rough. Like when Tyler Beard decided to go back to prep school, that was a shot because I was excited. I was like, okay, this kid's gonna come in and run this offense, and then I felt okay. The first couple games were rough, obviously, but once Dante moved into that starting role and took off, literally, I've never seen anyone run that fast in my life. Like I felt okay. I felt good. And then when we had that break and we came back, and Providence always gives us trouble. How many years have we been struggling against Providence?
Always.
And I mean, when we came out and like no team I've ever seen off that break and played like, I was like, we need to play like this the rest of the year and we'll be fine. And I mean, just like Brian said, I don't think anybody in this conference wants to see us in this tournament. We can hold our own against any of these teams, and we proved that. Like it's not any given day. It's college basketball. I mean, it just who wants to show up this day, and that's who's going to come out on top. So I really think that we have the potential to go deep into this tournament. And I know there's a lot of naysayers saying, you're crazy. Like the same people who said we were going to be dead last in the conference at the beginning of the year. It's not the same team. It's not. And it's like you said, Gene, like hard work. None of those kids quit yesterday. Like we were getting killed. And I, for one, would have been like, no, like that's it. Like I'm embarrassed. I'm done. And I actually had to step out of the game thread yesterday because it was getting rough. I was like, I can't.
It got heated, yeah.
I did. It's like we can't have a bad game against a great team without someone calling for everybody's job. So UConn's a good team. They're obviously the best team in the conference right now. And so, it happened. Let's move on, go to the tournament and do what we have to do. So yeah, I have high hopes for this team. And like Brian said, like next year's class, like bring them. Like, I don't think anybody wants to see them either. And yeah, we'll probably have one of the youngest teams again, because I think a lot of these kids are going to stay back and use that extra year, but I don't care. Like they're ready to play. Ryan Mutombo said yesterday, like he had just lost his playoff game. He's like, I'm ready to go to Georgetown. So, yeah. I'm ready. I'm excited. So.
And I just before you jump in there, Boardman, every time I watch Dante Harris, the more I watch him, he reminds me of your guy, AI, Stephanie.
Absolutely.
He's so quick. And what blew me away yesterday was he was at the front of the press and he got a steal. I'm like, how is this happening? Like, you put your point guard at the front of the press? So, yeah, his energy to me is contagious. And again, if I'm sitting on that bench, that's what I'm talking about to the crew. And again, the elbow that was thrown, out of pocket, wrong, this, that, or the other. The head coach of the team was known to do that. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what was going on throughout that game, whether it was chippy or not. Obviously, timing might not have been right, but sometimes that's what's necessary in the heat of the moment, and you address it later. Obviously, that's not something we want to do, but by the same token, things to build off of. So I just wanted to piggyback on that. What you got to say, Boardman?
I got ripped for saying exactly what you just said. When he elbowed, I said I like that. I said sometimes you got to do something to set things off, and then I immediately said you don't know what was going on through the game unless you're on that court. What was said, what little quick jab to the midsection and all that stuff. Unless you go back and check the tape and you're out there on the court, you don't know why that elbow was thrown. And even me coaching, I used to say, just give him a little nudge, give him a little nudge, don't be dirty enough to where you're going to injure him, but give him a little nudge. And everybody's like acting like that elbow was going to give him a concussion. And I'm like, it wasn't that bad of an elbow. I mean, we can give you some elbows, so, but as far as the season, every year I'm the crazy one because I've always got us, we're headed to the tournament, journey to the tourney, 28 wins, 4 losses. And everybody's they're all like, no, you're crazy. Are you kidding me? That's not gonna happen. So I get a little down sometimes and and start to level out and then start to creep into the ones that are sitting there saying, oh, this is gonna be like, a 5-20 or a 3-22. And then I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to win these next ones and so forth. I just always try to, try to be positive. And I think a good thing about Pat is that all his teams improve. That's his one culture is that if you look at last year when we lost all the players and stuff like that, we're all like, oh gosh, we're done. This is going to be horrible. And to be honest, watching the kids that we had last year in the late part of the season to the end, they were a lot more fun to watch than the team when it was at full in the beginning. Whether we were winning or losing, that team to me was a lot more fun to watch than the team being fully together because they were putting heart and effort out there and you could just see it. Terrell Allen all over the place. Jagan all over the place, all that. It was amazing. And I think the same thing is happening this year where the kids didn't have a lot of time to, to gel. They didn't have Kenner. They didn't have, they got to the college late and all that. And they didn't have all that time to get cohesiveness and stuff like that. So, they had their rough spots to up and down here and there. And even though my crazy thoughts, we're going to still go to the tournament and all this other stuff, that slowly went away. But then I started to say, okay, let's see how they improve. Because last year, though we didn't get the wins, and a lot of the time we didn't get the wins is because we were so short-handed that, tiredness comes on, just like you can't beat Father Time, eventually it's just going to get you. And that's what got us last year. But now it's the same routine. We strung together these wins. We're improving and we keep improving, but we're not that great team where, okay, we got to kind of play things perfectly or close to perfectly to get things done. Like we can't come out like yesterday in the first half and act like we didn't show up off the bus, and that's my one biggest question sometimes is how is that happening? Because I know Dante doesn't have that in his mind, it doesn't seem like Wahab has that in his mind, and so forth. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Blair. I don't, Pick is playing his best season so far since he's been there. But even times with him, I don't know what's going on there. But I just don't know where their mindset is when they come out there, regardless of UConn hitting all their shots, regardless of them having a 5-star and boot night, it's still you got down 15-0 and you're playing UConn who beat you at home. That should be enough to generate your enthusiasm to go out there and bust ass. And that's
why I love the room. This is why I love the room.
It's not coming from Pat. Pat's DNA is not to go out there and take things lightly. So they got to figure that part out, and I think that's a whole part of the getting the culture back, stuff like that, because you guys back in the day didn't go out there and take things lightly. Now you went out there and just boom, 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 punched them in the mouth first, got it done, start to finish. And that's what this team needs to do, even though they did come back the second half, but that first half of being lackadaisical and stuff like that, I don't care if you miss every shot in the book, dive on the floor, do what you got to do, at least show your fans that you're trying. And people like Dante do that, people like Wahab, people like Belay, they all do that. And that's why I can get down with Belay. And I don't care if he shoots 0 for 20 because his heart is in it. And well, I do care somewhat. But, but he's showing that he cares, and to me, I want to watch a good show. I want to watch a good game. And if you can show me that you're busting your butt, you don't always win. What do they say? If you can lose sometimes, but really win, But
if what you take away, what you take away from the L,
Yep. I mean, what do most coaches say? When you leave that court, ask yourself, did you leave it all out there? And if you have no question about it, then you did your job, plain and simple.
Love it. Chris, I'm going to stay with you because I need to comment on what does your spouse think of your commitment to the Hoyas? I don't know if we got it from you, but I definitely want to hear it.
She thinks I'm a little crazy. Because like Burke says, he schedules
Yeah,
things
Brett just
around.
put his head down.
I literally, well, check this out. When I signed up for my vaccination, just this past week, and then they called me, like they called me and said, we might have you on the list. Like, I was on the list, but they're like, we might call you, we might not call you. They'll call you tomorrow or something like that and let you know. So immediately as soon as they said that the vaccination was on Saturday. What do you think's in my mind? Is it going to be around noon? It's going to be like around 1 o'clock, because, I know COVID's dangerous, but I was canceling, man. If I couldn't get it beforehand,
Don't say that, Chris. You got a smartphone, Chris. You can smartphone it.
It's just the truth, though. It's just the truth. So she called me and said 10 o'clock. So I'm like, well, how long is it going to be? Is it take 2 hours? Is it going to take 1 hour? She's like, should only take like 1 hour. So I get there and I get in the room and stuff like that. And I was like, I hope you know that I was ready to cancel this. I had a game to get home and watch like that. And then I was also getting ready to either text Burke or whatever and be like, look, I'm gonna be a little late. Somebody's got to set up the game thread, but I got home in time. But my wife, she lets me do my thing. She doesn't care. She knows what I watch. She tells the kids and stuff like that. Dad's down watching the game. Better leave him alone. This and that. And I'll tell you what I told her before I got married. I said, when it all comes down to it, I said, you gotta let me watch my sports. I gotta be able to watch
your one son Joe.
That would never really come down to it, but that. It's always a fun joke that we always say to people.
That's dope.
Yeah, you had to watch Georgetown.
You said something interesting, both you and Stephanie. You talked about the hustle and the hard work. And I was just reminded, before I move on to something, I was just reminded when we played, Coach had the managers actually, it was a stat, it was considered a stat, diving on the floor. So you literally, were rewarded, or it was lauded. It was part of our DNA. It was part of the culture. And again, I don't want to harp on the past. I only want to use it as it helps us in the future. And
right.
Again, I think that's what the Hoya room embodies. And that's where I want to kind of shift. How do we continue? Because I think the fan engagement piece, and I'd like to hear what all of you think, has increased. I think we have more things going on now. How do we continue to do that? How do I continue to showcase you guys? Because again, I think the room is important in keeping us humble, keeping us real. I don't mind the dissent. I mean, I don't mind the people that come and go, because a lot of it is just spam, right? A lot of it's not real.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it's like, if that's all you have, because this is we're trying to be good every year. We're not just trying to be good one year. So
Yeah.
what do you guys think of the fan engagement, and how can we get better at it? And if you're cool with it, again, we can jump into something else, but I think it's getting better. But like I said, for a while there, you guys were all I had. So what's your thought process on that?
So I'll go. I think being virtual has kind of opened the door for stuff that we didn't have access to before. Like before we got on, you were talking about like personal stories with you and teammates. Like, that's super cool to me, to be able to be in that conversation and I'm just listening, because I want to be a sponge. I want to hear all this. And then when Chris and Austin started their stuff, I was like, this is amazing.
Dog Talk shout out 101.
I'm an addict. Like, I will, during my cardio sessions at the gym, I'll have Dog Talk up on YouTube.
This is Stephanie.
I'm like, it's so cool to me to be able to see the players that I follow all through college talk about stuff that I would never know about otherwise. Like, that's so cool to me. And I think without us going virtual, I don't think we would ever had that. I think that's one positive that came out of this situation is that we're finally let in on this little secret of Georgetown basketball. Everyone's always saying we're so private, we're so private. Well, now we're, opening the door a little bit. So I think that's pretty cool. And I'll actually give a shout out. Rob Smallwood in the group is actually the one who started the game thread idea. We were kind of having like 15 to 20 posts talking about the game, and it was getting really irritating to try to follow everyone's conversation. So we're like, hey, let's have one conversation. We'll talk about the game and we'll just go through that. And I think even now it's a little weird because we can't be at the games. Like usually I wouldn't be so in touch in the game thread because I'd be at the game, but
Right.
now, I mean, I'm watching the game on TV and now I'm able to conversate with people who are watching it and we can talk about play by play, like what's going on. And I think that's pretty cool.
Do
So
you
I think
turn
that's
off the commentators? Do you turn off the commentators?
listen, some of them are idiots. Like
Yeah, everybody.
every halftime, I swear to you, not one word about our game is ever spoken about. And if it is, it's always about the other team. No one ever has anything to say about Georgetown. And I'm like, why are you even like doing this game? Like nobody cares about us, and it's hard. It's like the people who are talking during our game don't want to talk about us. Like it's always sounds like they're cheering for the other team, and it can be heartbreaking sometimes. So yeah, it's a little rough.
That's
but
why you guys are invaluable, yo. You guys are invaluable. You're invaluable.
we try.
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, like I don't think we would have had this opportunity had we not been able to go virtual. And listen, I'm here for it. Like give me all the secrets. I want to know everything. So yeah, I'm good with it.
Brian? Who's next?
Burke, you there?
Burke, you there?
Looks
He's
like he might be.
frozen. He looks frozen. Take that. Oh, he's there.
There you
There
go,
he's
Brian.
back.
Internet. Is that better?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
good.
All right, I must have been on internet. But
Oh, there you go.
Switch off. Kelly, is there something wrong with their internet?
You're good now, Brian. Oh, now you're muted.
Am I? Okay.
There you go.
I love it when it does that. I was getting ready to say, board man, next man up.
Right? I was
I
gonna
have
say
no
just
problem
pass
with
the ball. The one thing that I noticed, when fan engagement has always been at a high point is obviously when we're winning.
When we're winning.
Yeah, when we're winning. And I look back, in the 80s, some of those teams, just the bonds that you shared with your teammates and throughout the years became friends with, through even more recently. I mean, look back at the 2003 through 2006 era where you had your Daryl Owens, who's obviously a big contributor in our group. The relationships and friendships he's developed with Jeff Green, Hibbert, Tyler Crawford, to name a few. Just seeing those types of bonds that have been made. I think that's when engagement was at an all-time high. Through recent eras, but I'd like to see more of that chemistry being built with our our recent graduates, as well as our kids, our students coming in. Right now, the one thing that I've noticed, there seems to be a culture that's established with Patrick. You see excitement on the sidelines with Kobe Clark engaged, Jamari Sibley, he's engaged. Malcolm Wilson, to name a few, TJ Berger, Cam Holloway, or is it Colin Holloway? All those guys, they all seem engaged and they want to see each other win. I'd like to see the current team, the future team, be more engaged with the student body. get more students out. I always think that we need more engagement. I look at, some of these other programs that are bigger, a lot bigger than us, fill in their arenas. I want to get back to the games where Obama and Biden showed up to, like against Duke. That was one of my favorite memories of all time. I was there live in the building with, our president and vice president at the time. Watching us beat the brakes off Duke doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I kind of went off the rails a little
me.
bit with that, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, go get them, Boardman.
I think first and foremost, to get more fans involved, I think we got to start winning consistently. I think once we start winning consistently, more fans will come, therefore more fan engagement. Maybe a few more, special events and stuff like that, that the college can do or something like that to get more fans to, that they can get together, before games and stuff like that. Not necessarily always, Hoya Hoop Club and all that other stuff, but just where groups can get together, kind of like, what Brian and Stephanie and them do going down, or was it the Irish Channel or whatever, things like that. I don't know. I just think it's like, we gotta win. We gotta win more. And then the fans will come. They say if you build it, they will come. And I think Pat's building it. I really honestly think he's building it. As much as there's a lot of doubt out there. I seriously think he's the right guy to get it done. And I'm looking at, like, I think next year you're gonna see just a total increase in fan engagement and stuff like that. They could do a little bit more. They could do a little bit better as far as selling the brand, like on Twitter and stuff like that, or Instagram. It could be a little bit better. I don't think there should be as much. I know that everybody wants to voice their opinion, but I think sometimes there's a little bit too much negativity that gets out there sometimes from the fans, as much as I hate to say it, but and sometimes that, I think that can hurt recruits. I mean, because I look at it like this: if the fans themselves don't have faith in the program, why should a recruit have faith in the program? Why should a recruit want to come to the program if we don't believe in the program? And I think if we try to, I think they can separate it from somebody that actually doesn't really believe, that's just constantly being negative, versus somebody that, they're pissed off today. Like even though Brian voices opinion sometimes in that way, I know that he's real. Like, I know that he's not, like, doesn't, like, totally not have faith in the thing happening, and
he's not getting off the Georgetown brand. Right. He's not going anywhere, to your point.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think in the end, just got to win,
Yeah. I agree with everything that everyone said. In particular, winning solves all the problems, right? Yep. We know that for a fact. But as Georgetown fans, we know the beauty in the struggle. And, it's been a struggle for a minute. And this is where you see who you're in the foxhole with. But on the fan engagement piece, I think we're in 2020, 2021 now. The whole communication piece has changed. Players will be able to sell their own likeness now. So they'll be more involved. I'd like to see platforms established where that's part of the deal. So for me, this Hoya locker room deal should be a player deal, right? A current player deal. And maybe that's something hopefully they're thinking about, but the access to the current players in terms of what they're thinking, how they approach the game, their strengths, their weaknesses. I'm not big on like, I'm not a fair weather fan, or I'm not big in following like day-to-day stuff. I know what the goals are of the program are, and I want to support those. But by the same token, I'd like to hear more from those people involved. And I just think that's a natural. And as we're in this world that we live in now, that's what I'd like to see first and foremost. I want to give an alert. We're coming up on the hour. I know your time is valuable. I thank you for this. I have no problem keep rolling, but I just want to let you know I'm not going to try to take up your whole Sunday. But if we're good, I still got some stuff in here I want to find out from you guys.
Oh, listen, I'm good.
I think we lost Burke.
I'll send him a message, but yeah, I'm good to keep going. So
okay, so it's on YouTube. I'd like to shift into if you look at this team that we have now, and if there was a unsung hero, or if there was someone that you think hasn't gotten mentioned much, and obviously I've been a bench player my whole life, so I'm always looking on the bench. Like I'm always looking to see expressions on the bench, who's cheering for the team, who's engaged, because you never know when your number's going to get called. So
Right.
I'll start. My unsung hero is Kobe Clark.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, I mean, it was one game earlier this season when he had like 900 rebounds in 9 minutes.
Yeah.
But his energy, and he got in yesterday, and I think he put up like 7 shots in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like he has a motor. So for me, that's my unsung hero, and that's the energy that I think we need. The talent is one thing, but when you combine that talent with that hunger, that passion, that's what I always felt about Reggie that was slept on. People never knew how nasty Reggie was. Just how, like, taking an L was not in his vocabulary. Take it all the way back to high school. So that to me is something that's part of the Hoya DNA. So that's my unsung. Kobe Clark is my unsung. So passing the baton.
Listen, I completely agree with you. That was it. The first or the second game he got in and then immediately got hurt.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no! Like he went baseline to baseline with little effort.
Yeah.
And like, this is the kid. We need him to have more minutes. And then he got hurt that game. Then he was in a boot for a couple of games.
Right.
And then you just didn't see him. Like he maybe had like 6 minutes between then and yesterday. And I feel like he needs to be on the court more. But he's also one, if you notice, on the bench that's very vocal.
Yes.
He's very vocal on the bench. And you can tell he understands his role. Coach doesn't want you in the game right now, but you're still supporting your teammates. And I think that speaks volumes of his character. And I think that's really big for this team especially. But I definitely see him hopefully, getting some minutes in the tournament and then definitely playing a bigger role with next season coming. So yeah, he's an exciting player to watch. And I think he'll be good for this program.
Well, you guys took that from me.
There's enough to go around. I can give you one. I got a couple more.
I do agree, and I think that when they want to go like aggressive, that somebody like him should be put on the court at that time. I also like TJ Berger because I think that he just seems to get everybody in the right spot and seems to do like the right things on the court. Like he seems like when he gets out there, he seems like a general. Like the ball's in his hands, he seems to do the right pass. He sees things. When I watch him, it's like he sees things ahead before they happen. Like when the very first game that he got in there, he played exceptionally well. And though he doesn't get a lot of time, I was just like, wow, this kid's a player, and there's a lot of times where I say things like that and I'm just like, oh, maybe it's just me, right? So then I go on Twitter and I watch all these other great minds that I know that are on Twitter, and I see the same thing that they're saying is what I said. And then I'm like, okay, it must be pretty good because they're saying it and I'm seeing it and I'm saying it. So, but Kobe Clark, he's a good one, and I'd like to see him get more time also.
Burke, I don't know if you heard the question. We're singling out an unsung player or unsung hero that we appreciate and we just want to give a shout out to. So that's kind of the.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties.
It's all love. This is Hoya locker room. We master technical difficulties. we welcome technical difficulties.
Exactly. You know, the unsung hero, I definitely like TJ Berger. I mean, because he's been, and I'll pick a different guy, but I just wanted to add on. He's one that's been battle tested in high school, going to the Westtown school. His dad was the head coach there down near outside of Philadelphia. And he's been playing with 5-star guys that you know, are going to be in the league. So I do like his upside. Man, I really like Jabari Sibley. He gets some run. Not as much as I would like to see. His wingspan, the way he can close out and cover. I think he has a smooth shot. He elevates. Has a nice release. You know, has a knack to score, but I think he's scared, and sometimes I see our guard in the way from it. You know, bringing the newbie in.
When Burke gets back in the room, they're gonna give it to him, boy, aren't they? They're gonna give it to you.
I think it's
I do. I really like Sibley. I think he has a huge upside.
Yeah.
But
the
you know,
Pennsylvania Hills.
what's that?
It's the Pennsylvania Hills.
I got the 3 remote people I could get. The 3 most remote. I really, yeah, I really like, you know, all the cats that aren't playing. Again, I'm a bench guy, and I look like Holloway gets in the game and just scores.
Yeah,
like he finds a way. Malcolm, you know, Malcolm is part of a three-headed monster, so you got to almost put him in at the 4 if he's going to play.
yeah. He struggled. He struggled down low yesterday.
Yeah, he's kind
That
of
was
light.
a toff matchup for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like
he needs some.
Yeah, I'd like to transition into the seniors that we're losing, and obviously give them you know, a shout out, but also looking forward to them doing well in however many more games they have left. You know, Jamarco, to me, 4-year player, Javon, 4-year player. So I immediately give you kudos. You know, it hasn't been easy. I mean, it's been tumultuous for those 2 guys. And the fact that they're still standing, you know, I just take my hat off to them. I wish I knew a better way to give them more love. But it's difficult for me. Because, you know, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I really want those guys to do well because it's their time now. And I think the last thing they want to hear is from a old dude anyway. So it's like, I just want to, you know, I want to say things, but it's like, yo, dude, all of you guys, it's your time. Like it's you know, you're good money, get it done. But just the 3 that we're losing, Belay included, he's proven to be, you know, again, we've had some great one and dones. A friend of mine coined the phrase a while ago, the original one and done, and that was Michael Graham.
Yep.
And basically, like I'd like to start an award or something for one and done. So like Terrell Allen, Trey Dickerson, Rodney Pryor. I mean, these are people that came in and played 1 year and they made such an impact. Like you want to continue to give them a shout out. But as it relates to our seniors, is there any kind words you'd like to bestow upon them as they enter the Big East tournament for their last time, and for Belay his first time? But anything you'd like to bestow upon them? Because I genuinely think, you know, we often think they don't listen, but they do. So any shout outs I think would be a cool deal.
Yeah, I mean, hey, lay it on the line, guys. Jamarco, man, it's been a pleasure. I rode you hard throughout the years a little bit, but man, I've seen a lot of growth in your game, your maturity level. I expect big things from you, Jamarco. You have the skill set, and that lockdown D that NBA teams are looking for. So, play your ass off these last couple of games. You never know what can happen. Javon Blair, man, first Canadian that I remember as a Hoya. I'm sure there's been other ones. Over 1,000-point scorer, just like DeMarco. I think there's a big ceiling for you to play. NBA is always looking for shooters. You're probably one of the best to ever lace them up and with to be able to shoot like you can. So go out and get them. Bile, you've been a short sample, but you definitely have turned it on, especially after that COVID quarantine. You're showcasing your skills. You're going to play somewhere at the next level as well. So I mean, I think you're still growing into your player. I kind of wish we had you back for another year because I mean, you bring that dog. I have a little so that's all I got to say. Good luck.
Appreciate it. We heard 90% of it, so it's all love.
Really, I was wondering. I saw it come in as unstable at one point.
When Stephanie freezes, you know your shit ain't working.
I saw Stephanie freeze.
I am.
Next up.
I'll go. So, I've been quite critical on both Jamarco and listen, I don't think everybody has it in them to be a leader. I think that's something that you either have or you don't. And I think at the beginning of the year, they said, oh, our seniors need to be our leaders. They're seniors. That's not always the case.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's something, it's just not in your DNA. And that's fine. You don't have to be, the leader of the team. You could still score 20 points a game and not be the guy on the team. Like, it's possible. It's basketball. Like, there's 5 guys on the court. You can share it. So yeah, I've been critical, but I think Pickett really stepped out. I wish he would have done this last year and the year before. I think it took him a little longer to blossom than a lot of us wanted him to. But listen, I think if they really come with their A game, I think we can do some damage in the tournament, especially them 3. So, and Belay, I've been since day one. I was
we all have.
Listen, I don't know about him, but like Brian said, like after that little break, he came out and he was like, "Oh no, I'm ready to play now." So yeah, I'm excited for all 3 of them. I think they all have a really bright future. Pickett has the body structure to be successful in this game, and yeah, I think they all 3 have a really bright future. And I don't know if I would necessarily welcome any of them back for that extra year next year. I think it'll be a hard situation to throw them 3 into with bringing the class in that we have. Because then, who sits the bench, who starts, like it that opens a whole nother can of worms. So yeah, I'm excited for them to get to the tournament, and I expect highly of all 3 of them, and I think they'll deliver on what they can do.
Well said. Well said.
All right. As far as JP, that's my guy.
My guy.
Since day one, since he first arrived, I said that he was going to be this and be that, and boy, I took it all on the shoulders for him, and I haven't stopped it. and I've gone right through, and he finally did it for me his senior year. I don't think it was all his fault. I think there was a lot of stuff that went on as far as like the players that he was surrounded with. He had a ball dominant point guard that kept the ball from him. He had another guy that shot pretty much 85% of the time. We won't bring that name in here, but yeah. So I mean, he didn't have a lot of opportunities to get shots. He could have rebounded a bit more. You know, I think as time grew, he learned how to be more aggressive and stuff. And that's why his rebounding went up this past year. And then there was less people to go to as far as points wise, you know, and so he started to score more. He definitely can go far. He definitely can go where he wants to go as long as he puts in the work and believes in himself. And he's got to believe in himself. It's not over yet. Blair, another guy, you know, I kind of stood up for, and, you know, he took some shots, you know, but he's always been a pure shooter. And I told people that he's a pure shooter. Struggles at the point guard position, you know, but he's generally a 2 guard. Belay. Now I know you guys all sat there and said, no, but there was a post near the beginning of the year where we all, I don't know what it was about, but it's about certain players. Which one did you like? And I actually put Belay before he did all this stuff, which is
well, that's no surprise. That's no surprise. You often take positions nobody takes.
I don't know if it was a reach or what, but I said I like Belay. I like his game. And they're all like, "Are you nuts? What's wrong with you?" You know. And now he's doing what he's doing. But I saw the aggressive nature, and I saw like the form on his shot, and I saw the type of shots he was taking. And all I thought was that he just had to play smarter. Everything else was there, but he just had to play smarter. And I think that's the only time that he gets himself in trouble is when he doesn't play smart. Like when he tries to dribble between 3 guys or 2 guys, ball goes off this way, or he gets in the air and he passes off and gets stolen. Like, he's got to remember, those aren't things that you do. If you got Dante to your right side, kick it to Dante and let Dante go. You fill in, he'll get you the ball, and so forth. What I want to say to all 3, go out and get it. Go out and get that tourney, stamp it, put your name on it, and bring it home, because your time's not over yet. It's Madison Square Garden. The lights are on. It's showtime. Gus Johnson, Bill Raftery, light it up and go get them, Hoyas. That's all I got to say. Bring it home.
Wow. Can you replace me doing this Hoya locker room, Chris? Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm going to wind this down. And again, I can't thank you 3 enough. I've tried to express what the group, what the room, what each of you mean to me personally. Because like I said, there was a time that I was just looking for a home, just to have some Hoya banter. But I wasn't looking for just a normal, you know, when we do good, people have something to say, and then the opposite. I sent invites to maybe 20 people 2 years ago, and a lot of former players, because I encourage former players to drop in. You currently are at about 2,000 members. I'd like to enlist my support in getting you more followers. So I think that's some conversations we need to have. I'd also like to challenge the university to engage with this group in a way that makes sense. Because that's where I was kind of going with the whole engagement piece. Right. I think what you do is so natural and it's so organic. And that, you know, Facebook, you're probably the only reason I go on Facebook. But again, I'd like to get your wheels churning on that, and I'd like to be a part of any conversations that you guys, because again, I think an event when this thing breaks is a beautiful thing. But I also think a virtual event with the Big East room would be insane. Because again, the good, the bad, and the ugly, that's what you guys represent. And that's who we are as Hoyas. We're a hodgepodge. You know, I mean, but that's the beautiful thing, like embrace that. I mean, we have ambassadors, dignitaries, and then we got, you know, minimum wage people, and they're all Hoya fans. And again, that's the rallying point. And I just think that's something we can capitalize on. If each of you can give a parting word, because I think what we said about the 3 seniors was awesome. That would be a great note to end on. But again, I'd like to hear something. I think I want you guys to dig a little deep and give me something personal about your relationship with the Hoyas and the program, to let them know what they're missing, right? Because this is to me, you're the soul of the earth. Like you're the first line of defense. And again, I'm sure there's some people that are having issues with me saying that, but you know, I'm a Buffalo soldier, so you know, I believe less is more anyway. So if you guys can give a parting word, I think that'd be a great way to end this, which has been an awesome session for me. My producer, Markham Stansbury, he says I say that about every episode, but I truly believe it. I believe it because I look around and I say, okay, well, nobody's doing these type of shows. So on the strength of that, any parting words, I'd love for you to lay it out there on the line, because I'm not saying we're going to win the Big East tournament. I'm saying play like you're going to win the Big East tournament. So let's just start with that.
I'll start.
We want to start with you, Burke, because your shit may phase out. So
I know it probably will. Anyway, but I'm going to keep talking anyway. So
I know you are.
No, I want to say the one thing that you touched on about the group being, very diverse. We're a melting pot of, Hoya alums, CEOs. We have people from all over the world that are accessing our group at different hours of the day, at different times. So that's one thing that's really neat. It's nobody really tries to act like they're better than anybody else, and we talk about it all. We try, obviously we try to moderate a little bit. We all have jobs, and we do our best to try to.
And there he goes.
Doing the Dikembe.
We have alums in there. We have everything. Obviously you're going to get screened when you come in. We don't just let anybody in. So, you got to show some sort of allegiance towards the Hoyas. And if you act out of line, you're going to be going. So, that's why we have Stephanie. But
answer the questions.
Right, exactly. But no, it's been an honor. Thanks, Captain, for having me on. This is awesome to be able to connect. It was great listening to each and every one of you guys talk. We always text and Facebook message behind the scenes, but being able to see your faces during this tough time. I know you guys are my family. So Hoya Saxa. I'll pass it off to Stephanie. But thanks a lot, Captain.
Appreciate you.
Yep, you too.
So kind of piggybacking off what Brian said, I think what's really cool about our group is that we have former players, we have NBA Hall of Famers, like we have all kinds of people, and we're all here because we love this team, and we all have a special connection to the school or the team or players, anything. And yeah, it gets a little hectic sometimes. Have to block a few people here and there, but for the most
you have to elbow. That's an elbow.
Listen, sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes people get a little out of line, but no, it's a fun place to be. It's super cool when we're able to shout out Hoya birthdays. We have when we have a new former player enter the group, like it's a lot of fun, and it's really cool that people get to become friends with the guys they watch on the court. It's really cool. So yeah, I hope we do what we're supposed to do. I hope we show up on Wednesday and play the game how we know how to play it. And I hope a lot of people in the group come out to the game thread and support what we have going on. So yeah, everybody join the Facebook group. It's a good place to be.
Good place to be.
And I hope we grow it more than it is now. I was a little worried there for a minute with stuff happened last year. We're like, okay, when is it going to decline? When's the mass drop off going to happen? And you know, every now and then we have like 8 or 9 new members a week, so it grows. So we just wanted to get larger, more good Hoya conversation. Healthy Hoya conversation. It gets,
Productive.
yeah, a lot of the people are just saying stuff to say stuff, I think, and you gotta take it with a grain of salt. You have to have thick skin to be a Georgetown fan. Like, you
I
got to.
agree. I agree, but this is the thing I like about the room. If you come in there with that weak shit,
Listen, I am not afraid to call you out on your shit. I'm not. It's how it's supposed to be. So
listen, don't you guys change. Don't change that. Don't change that.
Go ahead.
All right.
Commish, we're gonna end it with you, Commish.
Pretty much. I mean, they both said it. It's like a family atmosphere. You know, we're all there because we love the Hoyas. Point blank. We want to see them win, you know, but you know, at the end of the day, we're still pretty much probably 90% of us are going to be Hoya fans. It's a fun group. We have our ups and downs. There are probably some people that maybe shouldn't be there, you know, but you know, it makes it a little exciting here and there, you know, sometimes it gets out of hand, but other times it's exciting. I don't know. It's just a great group. I just want to say thank you to Steph. Thank you to Brian for all they do. Thank you to you, Captain Gene, for having us on here. I have a couple of names I want to say, if you guys don't mind. I want to shout out to Cornell Young,
Yes,
Lowe's
sir.
Medina, Mary Beth Corrigan, Daryl Slotnick, who helps with a lot of stat stuff, Kevin Rifle, who drops stuff in, Stephen Hood, Patrick Thompson, Patrick Waring, Nathan Chen, Sean L. Boone, Antoine Williams, Robert Poole, Ulysses L. Tucker. Get better.
Get better, yes.
If you guys could think of anybody else that I may have forgotten, all these people contribute tremendously. It's gotten to the point where in the beginning I was putting a lot of stuff in, and now I don't have to put hardly anything in. And because they're all contributing, and that's what makes this group run, is that everybody puts stuff in now. It's great seeing all the different opinions, all the different strategies on how they think that the game should go, and so forth. As far as the Big East tournament, like I said, we are Georgetown. In Pat we trust. Let's go rock them, sock them, punch them in the mouth, and win this damn thing.
Wow. The shout outs were incredible. All those people you mentioned, again, like I said, I'm not in the room as much as I used to be, but the game threads I still live by. And again, I cannot thank you enough. I'm looking to help in any way that I can so you guys can grow. Like I said, this is a salute, and hopefully this won't be the last time. I envision you growing. And like I said, I'd love to help in any way. One thing I do want to recognize is when you do the members that participate the most or have the most posts. So I think that shit is fantastic. And I'd like to come up with a product or something that we can give away, like each
That's
time
what
we do that.
Yeah, but then you got to worry about the stat patterns.
The other thing
Well,
other
again,
thing you
that's
wanted to
not
do
going to
is-
happen with Stephanie involved. You
No.
can't be paying it. It's not going to happen.
we were thinking about possibly trying to do shirts too with the group name on it. for people to purchase. So if you got any ideas on how we can go about that,
We're gonna get offline. We're gonna get offline and
I just don't want to be the one that's mailing things out. So
yeah, I mean, again, this is a stretch for me. I don't want to be doing anything because I'm gonna mess it up. but again, a Hoya locker room salute to each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for all that you do for the program and all you will continue to do. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays, but nothing but love. I'm sorry, boy.
Can I say one more thing? I want to say thank you to all the other Hoya podcasts and whoever's out there doing whatever they're doing for Georgetown. And D.O., we got you, buddy. Daryl Owens. I didn't forget you.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Peace
you.
and love.
All right.